Good morning, everybody. Welcome to TV Skywriter. I'm Patricia A. Murray, your host. I'd like to introduce you to people I think you should know. And today I'm talking with an actor named Andonios LCA. You said that's Lights, Camera, Action. So welcome to the show, Andonios. How are you?
We still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, now we're good. Yep, we're good. Okay.
So how are you?
I'm good, Patricia. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Now, the reason I wanted to have you on the show today was because I saw a Periscope of yours. And for those of you who don't know, Periscope is another live streaming app. So I was like, oh my God, this guy is scoping and driving. And people were telling you to pull over, not to scope and drive at the same time. And I thought I'd talk to you about it because you were assuring them that you were safe. And those of us who were worried that you'd run off the road were like, stop. So I'd like to ask you about that.
Sure. Go ahead.
So I'd like to ask you about the experience of people telling you to stop driving while you were scoping. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, I work for a company, did work for a company, and I'll get there, but I work for Terminix. And normally what I do is, as an actor, I like to practice on cameras. So what better way than Periscope? So I reach out to people, I get more fans, I get more supporters. And I had my camera up on the windshield. That's normally how I do it because obviously by law and there's so many safety reasons and you can get in accidents and stuff if you have it in your hand. So it's not like I'm like this, hey guys, how you doing? And I'm driving, I'm not like from Dumb and Dumber and Jim Carrey when he's causing that big pile up behind him. It wasn't like that, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay. So everyone's like, you got to be careful, Andonios. I mean, is this even safe? I said, listen, I'm 33 years old, okay? And I'll show you the difference between my camera angles. So when I showed him the road and how much clearance I have, so God forbid I had to stop, I would be able to stop with no problem. And I said to him, but thank you very much for looking out for me. I do appreciate that, but I'm very good at what I do. So they're like, oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you're okay and you're safe and stuff like that. But I said, I really appreciate it. So that's kind of where it went. I didn't get upset or anything like that. I understood what they were talking about and I acknowledged it,
Yeah. And I've seen that happen on other Periscopes as well. And I've seen actually people pull over, and sometimes they say, oh, just shut up.
Right, exactly. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, they give us this technology. They don't think we're going to use it. I mean, technology's advanced every single year. And obviously, it's going to be very tempting to use it in some way, shape, or form. So that's like giving someone candy and taking it away, to a baby. You can't do stuff like that, but you also have to be mature enough to know how to use it in the correct way. And I did. And unfortunately, someone felt that it was a bad thing and they went through corporate, and I ended up losing my job after 2 years. So my boss called me in and he said, we caught you on Periscope. Someone caught you on video, and we have to terminate you because it's a no phone policy. I had no say in anything. That's it. I'm recorded, and that was the way. So for someone to go all the way out of their way to terminate me and find a way to get it to the safety council, it was mind blowing. I couldn't believe it.
See, I hadn't watched the entire scope because I actually had to hop on the bus and run downtown for a meeting. So I didn't see. And that's why I wanted to talk with you because, here I am on the bus and my mind went back to your Periscope. And I was like, I wonder if one of these days somebody's going to run right off the road and it's going to be on Periscope, So I don't know if you guys who drive in and scope realize that people do worry. Even if we don't know you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, they do. And, and that's why I appreciated it, and then I know you saw also my topic about haters and trolls. We call them trolls, right? Well, it's true because in my industry, in the world alone, it's 95% negativity, right? No one wants you to succeed. Patricia, no one wants you to succeed. There are people out there just don't want to see you succeed, and you have to override that. So what I explained to my fans was, I said, listen, if you've got someone that's hating on you or jealous or whatever the case may be, acknowledge them. Let them know. Thank you so much for being a hater. Thank you so much, because what you do to me is you make me even perform better and make me capitalize on my talent even more. Don't get upset at them. Don't throw words at them, because it makes no sense, because they're just going to keep coming back at you, keep coming back at you. So let them know, listen, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I thought a lot of people really thought that was something, because they're like, wow, you kept your cool. You know who you are. You know you're a talented guy. So, you know, what's the problem?
Now, someone who's viewing, I don't know if you can see the messages on you're on an iPad. So you were looking at the messages, not the road. Is that safe? I've seen people do both also. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just something that if you're going to do that, I guess you better learn how to do it well, or else you end up like George Jones running off the road.
That's right.
So were you?
Yeah, we don't want that. I value my life too much.
Yeah. Now, someone is saying, don't stream and drive as a hashtag. I guess that's a new message. I don't know. But yeah, I guess it's something that you really shouldn't do. I know you said you were safe, but do you think maybe you learned something? Do you think maybe you're not going to do it anymore? Or what's your opinion on that?
You know what it is? It's, yeah, I mean, obviously I can't do it with my company vehicle anymore because I'm not working for that company anymore. But, you know, I still think it's hands-free. It's like looking at a GPS. You just got to have more knowledge. That's all. You just got to be aware of your surroundings. If you're not aware of your surroundings point blank, you're going to get in an accident no matter what.
Well,
and driving is very boring too. Yeah. Driving is exhausting. And going the speed limit at the same time and looking around and all that stuff, it's a lot. It's a lot to do with, you get fatigued, you get tired. At least I have something motivating me to keep me going and say, hey guys, how you doing? But not paying attention to the screen the whole time. I'm looking at the traffic. I'm not looking here and saying, hey, how you doing? What's going on, guys? That's just pure stupidity. Why would you do something like that? I'm aware of what
Here's an interesting question. What is your opinion of the company policy, and do you agree with the action they've taken? Now, let me take that another step further, because you said you're in your 30s.
Sure.
So suppose there's a new employee, and he's only 19 or 21, and he's only been driving for maybe a year, and he sees you doing it, and he figures, oh, there's really nothing to this. I think a 19-year-old could easily crash and burn. What do you think?
Oh, I think so too. I think it comes all in maturity, and it's just sad that I have to spoil for others. It's too bad.
So do you think the company policy is probably a good one, right? Because they can't say if you're over age 28, we'll let those guys stream it. Yeah.
No, of course not. No, of course not. What I did was wrong, but the fact that they couldn't even give me a warning or something, because I've been there for so long, I figured, if I was there for a month and I started that would be a different story. But I've been there almost 2 years with a major worldwide company, and that's what.
Well, actually, I had a job once where you got 3 warnings and then a discussion and then termination at that point. But I think it varies from company to company. Where I worked had nothing to do with driving. I merely sat at a desk. But so maybe another lesson learned is no matter where you're working, find out what the company policy is. Because maybe your company.
Yeah. I mean, I knew what it was. It was a no phone zone. You're not supposed to use your phone at any way. But I looked at it this way. It's not in my hand. It's away from me. And that's how I looked at it, would be no problem. But I was sadly mistaken, and it's within me. Any job that I have is me being an actor, me being a model. It has a lot to do with I like to be on camera. Okay. It's my addiction. It's like crack for someone. It's my addiction. And it's hard for me to get away from that because I have the technology branch out to new fans and new supporters. And that's why, you know, at that point, I just don't even think about anything else. I just think about me as a talent, you know, and that's just
I think for people who love being in front of the camera, maybe I'm just trying to think this out. So maybe if it's an addiction or something you really enjoy, maybe it can be scheduled so that you don't endanger yourself. In other words, like you would say, okay, like during coffee break, I'm going to go on, you know, or during lunch. And then you could still fulfill your wish to be on camera and still be safe. I don't know. I hope you can easily find another job.
It could be. It could be. No, that's not going to happen because right now, I'll tell everybody this right now. You will be seeing me in movie theaters. You will be seeing me. I'm working on a very big feature film with Hollywood, and I have a producer called with Focus Productions, and we are doing some very big things. So I am going to be like the next Tom Cruise, the next Mark Wahlberg. It's happening. We've got the budget, and so my 9-to-5 job, it doesn't even matter to me anymore because I have what I need to go further in my career. So you will be seeing it called April Rain, the Movement. It's going to get a different name right now, but we, like I said, we have the funding. It's a sci-fi feature film, and I'm very excited about it. And I am the featured actor for this. J.J. Abrams is involved in it. Steven Spielberg, you know, and a bunch of others are really supporting us from Hollywood.
Now,
so
I'm not,
it's big.
You know,
things.
I don't know about
big
movies. I mean, I'd like to ask you because I don't know. How long does it take to make a movie? So.
Well, it depends. If it's a featured film, it could go anywhere from a year to maybe 2 years, depending on how big the project is. This one's probably going to be roughly about 6 months. Just depends on what kind of technology you have and how much of a cast you have and so on.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. I really appreciate you sharing time with us because I wanted to ask you about the streaming and driving, not realizing that it had cost you your job. Do you have any advice for, I know you're in your 30s, so your skill level might be different for young kids. Because you do know that a lot of teenagers die from car accidents.
It's bad. It's bad. Racing and all that stuff. It's bad.
You can travel the length of a football field in I don't know if it's a second or a split second. I think maybe it's a second, but you can travel, if you're going the speed limit, you can travel the length of a football field. And so kids who are like looking down to change the radio station or slip in a CD or whatever, very often have, you hear so many. Now in North Carolina, I can't remember what state you're in, but in North Carolina, Connecticut.
I'm in Connecticut.
I don't know anything about Connecticut, but in North Carolina, to my amazement, a lot of young people own cars. I'm from Chicago, and it's not as easy to get well, maybe it's a different lifestyle thing. Houses are so much cheaper here in North Carolina. So I see families with 2 cars and kids with cars. And I'm just not used to that. Not at all. So what I'm seeing here in North Carolina are young people are driving to school. Whereas in Chicago, they're mostly on the bus. Yeah. The buses are full of kids in the morning, but here they're driving. So I think maybe people who are living in areas like mine are very, 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 very concerned about people streaming and driving because it leads to so many deaths of young people.
Oh, I can, listen, I can understand that. And I think it all depends on the individual. Not that I'm saying I'm better than everybody and that I have, I'm more knowledgeable. It's not that. It's just my life is very big to me. I almost lost my life 5 times. I feel like I have like 6 lives. So my thing is whatever I do something, I already think ahead. I already know how I'm going to handle a situation if it were to arise. And that's why I do that. I'll put myself in that position because I know how I handle it. But others, they feel that they can just do it. Young kids, of course, the maturity level's not there. Maybe they're not thinking further into it.
Now, it was pointed out that I am missing some questions. I admit I'm not the smoothest blabber just yet.
I know. Look,
so let me grab one of these questions here. I totally missed this. Having seen, now I didn't see the whole broadcast, but someone says, having seen the broadcast, do you feel the company took into account how sexual the context of the scopes were? See, I didn't see that. I didn't see the whole thing. So apparently there was some sexual discussion.
They say something
Yeah,
sexual.
I guess you were talking about
something about
sex
sexual
during.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was a topic. Yeah, there was a topic that, women come in and, they think I'm an attractive man and, and I'm like, you know what, all ends, go ahead. But you got to be over 18 to talk about this stuff because sex is out there. We know sex is out there. So I was like, I have no problem talking about it. We're all human, okay? We're all human. And I did. And that's what I talked about. And that was just a little bit. It wasn't just that. It was more to it. You know what I'm saying? So do I feel it was right to say it on Periscope? It's a freedom of speech. I'll tell everybody it's freedom of speech. If you don't like what you hear, you leave.
Now,
and you
I've
go
never been a
else.
boss, but
that's my opinion.
So I think here's the thing. I think if you were scoping and driving and talking about sexual things or whatever, while not wearing a business shirt, that probably would have been okay, I guess. Or maybe the driving and scoping not. But I think the problem is,
you're right.
I guess, okay, like suppose, okay, I do own a community newspaper. If I did have an employee and he was talking about sexual matters while wearing a Durham Skywriter shirt, I don't think I would have liked that very much.
No, you know what?
So let me see if there's any other.
You're absolutely right. And, at that point, I wasn't.
Yeah, that's just one of those things. I guess you just kind of learn as you go along, right? Yeah. Okay, so we talked about the company policy. We know about the phone distracting you. We know we discussed that. Don't stream and drive is an International Awareness Day on April 8th. Didn't know that. It's good to know. Let's see. So I think I pretty much hit all the questions. You know what? This might be really interesting, Andonios, because you're an actor, right? You've got fans. Sure. Maybe you can turn this thing in your favor, and on April 8th, go on Periscope and tell people not to stream and drive. You see what I'm saying? In other words, you're turning the whole thing on the ear.
Absolutely.
You should really.
Absolutely. I could totally do that.
Okay. I think
I could absolutely do that.
Because I think people will learn a lot because, again, not everybody has. Now, I have to tell you, I first started driving when I was 41. Being from Chicago, I didn't have to drive because trains and buses are everywhere in Chicago. I only needed to start driving when my parents got really old and needed me.
Sure.
So not all of us at age 33 or whatever are able to have the skills that maybe you need to take your eyes off the road and pay attention to what you're doing at the same time. Although I can't imagine you can ever be really good at that if you're traveling on a highway. Okay. And it only takes a second to have an accident,
Yeah, that's very true.
Even,
that's all it takes. That's all it takes.
And even if you're on a side street, one time, I was driving, this is in Chicago. I'm driving down the street, right? And a soccer ball just goes right across, and I slowed down immediately because I know what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And I was right. If I hadn't slowed down, I would not have seen this little kid. He dashed right in front of me after the ball. And if I had been looking at something, I would have missed that. I would have hit that kid. True. I know I would have hit that kid. And that was going down 30 mile per 30 mile residential street. So I really suggest you do that. April.
Yeah. No, I believe it. I mean, this is how I look at it. I look at it this way, if you don't mind. Cars, technology, it's advancing every single day as we look. You got cars that you can talk to where it'll drive for you. All right. There's a lot of things in your peripheral vision that's going to take you off the road. So whether it's a cell phone, whether it's a tablet, whether it's this, whether it's that, if it's meant to happen, then that happens, and there's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is, but you got to try to prevent it as much as you can, of course. But again, look at all these things. Look at all this technology that's in front of your face. You can't say just the cell phone and this and that. Tell the automakers to stop making this stuff then. Tell them to just have nothing in the car that's going to distract you whatsoever. And guess what?
Yeah, I guess
that's not going to, it's never going to happen. You know it. I know it. The audience knows it.
Now, this is a sarcastic question. I know. Is your former company going to give you a letter of reference? I know this being sarcastic. It's very cute, but they're not. So it's not even worth addressing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you know, if
not.
you're breaking a company's, company rules, you know, they're not going to give you the reference. So that
Right.
if he finds another job, he is an actor, but if he does go after another job, it'll be on his own, I'm sure. So that's just.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I won't be working for another corporation company, nor do I need it. But yeah,
So our
exactly.
last question, because I know you have to go, and I actually have to redo my. I do a daily announcement show for my city. You know what's happening in North Carolina. My camera
That's
just
great.
went blank, so I have to do it again. So I do have to go. But let's this last question, based on what's happened, would you still scope and drive, and do you think that you're safe enough to do so?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I think. Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna stop doing this completely. The whole Periscope driving thing. I think it's the best way. I think this is probably a message from God saying, "Listen, I don't want you to die, and you have too much going on for yourself, and there's no reason why you should put yourself in a situation like this." So I think, in a way, you know, this was a great thing that happened to me, and I learned a lot. And I see that people do care.
Because, like I said, nobody wants to watch someone drive off the road. Because imagine you can't do anything about it, right?
Of course not.
So that's really scary for those of us who are watching. So I'm really glad you learned the lesson. And actually, we learned as well what can happen when you break company rules and when you're driving and scoping. Somebody says ban all alcohol. Now, this is during the day. I can't imagine you were drinking it.
Oh God, no. No. Drinking is poison. Smoking is poison. I'm one of those guys that I don't do any of that stuff. I believe in a nice, healthy, fit body. So I don't touch any of that stuff. I've lost a lot of friends to a lot of drugs, and I lost friends because they wanted me to become of that drug party, and I never did. So another thing of me being an actor and a model is I want people to look up to me and know that if you have a clean lifestyle, things will happen in your favor and you'll live a lot longer.
I do hope that you have a really successful career.
Absolutely. Successful career. And everybody, if you have an Instagram and if you like what you see and you want to get to know more about me and follow my career, please, Antonios LCA. It stands for Lights, Camera, Action. I would really appreciate the support. And I'm also going to make a blab.im profile so I can live stream, because Patricia showed me the way to make my own show. So I will definitely be working on that. And we'll do other topics.
Here's one last question. I don't know what this is. Would you consider your acting on Chatterbait something kids can look up to? I do not know what that is.
Chatterbait's a webcamming session. If you wanted to make quick money, easy money. I used to be a dancer, so I could make money just dancing, absolutely. If you can make money the way the government is and the way everything is, and you can't get jobs and it's hard, if you have to go that route, then you certainly go that route to make it where you need to make it. I have no problem with that, and that's just the way it is.
And with that, I'll end the recording of the show. I can probably hang around for a few minutes if somebody wants to jump in and ask any questions in person. So what I will do is to pause the recording. I want to thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot to thank you. Antonios, I want to thank you for being a guest on TV Skywriter. And folks, if you want to read the Durham Skywriter, it's durhamskywriter.com. If you want to be a guest, contact me on Twitter at Durham Skywriter. With that, I'll bid you adieu. I'll end the recording. I won't leave just yet, though. Okay.
You got it.